Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, welcome to Hot Toys and my deep dive into Squid Game. This would be Squid Game Episode 5, A Fair World. Allow me to introduce you to Hot Toys himself as welcome to...
Hi, well, I'm Heel versus Babyface, but you know, the Hot Toys is just my
Twitter.
manager's Twitter account.
Your manager's Twitter account. Yes, I forgot about that.
Mine got banned.
I want to first give a shout out to Jason Spriggs, Mr. Ray Gun himself. I forgot to thank him on the last episode for doing our great graphics. I mean, he did. Obviously, we get two separate graphics from him. This one, and then of course this one. I mean, my God, Jason Spriggs and his lovely lady. Thank you for being a friend and doing these incredible graphics.
Thank you for being a friend.
So when we last left our stalwart heroes, as they were about to engage in a game of tug-of-war.
Well, they were engaged in a game of tug-of-war.
No, they were. Yes, they were.
Yeah.
It had just begun.
And they were feeling the pressure, and the last thing we knew...
it was literally a cliffhanger.
Yeah. A literal cliffhanger where they said, right, we need to, when I say now, we need to run 3 paces forward. And everyone's just like, you crazy.
Crazy.
You're crazy. We run 3 paces forward, we fall over, we die, we dead. And that's where it ended. On an actual cliffhanger. 1, 2, 3. See you on the next episode. With Sang-woo giving his and he's an intelligent guy. Sang-woo's very intelligent.
He is a very intelligent guy.
You know, he knows certain things about different things, and yeah. So we start off literally where we left off with that very speech again, saying, right, when I say now after 3, we're going to take 3 big paces forward, run forward 3 paces, and of course it was all designed to pull the opposition off balance.
It's true,
because when you're coming forward at you're pulling back, and then when somebody's coming forward at a rate, your inertia is going to take you back quickly. So if you're pulling, you're gonna fall over.
You're out.
So the yeah.
No, it's. I have to say though, the strategy that's employed in this, I couldn't help but think, oh, next time I'm involved in a tug of war, I'm going to employ this. And then after I thought I was so pleased with myself, then I thought to myself, yeah, but everyone else will have seen Squid Game too, so they'll be doing the same thing we would be.
Don't matter. if everyone's just starting that tug of war like that for 10 seconds, it's going to be a good day. Hey, you watch Squid Game? Yeah, I watch Squid Game too.
I mean, what I also liked about this game for the first time, it's teams. So unlike these individual games like Red Light, Green Light, and Honeycomb, you know, these are now you're contingent upon how good are your teammates, kind of a thing.
Yeah,
and we saw that. I mean, this is the second game. I guess the first game would be inside the barracks. Everyone had to team up, and now some of these alliances continue on, it's interesting how they're, you know, in society you're born alone, you die alone, but during the journey you need to team up with people. Yeah.
I mean, we are social creatures.
Yeah.
We're not designed for cities, but
I don't really know what's
social
happening
creatures.
to my hair this morning. My hair is it's distracting even me.
You turn a fucking piss, mate.
No, I'm
turn a piss?
No, I'm looking. My hair is like
some sort of personal insult.
No, that had nothing to do with you. I was looking at myself, going, "What's going on with my hair?" I wasn't. No insult meant.
What's going on with my amazing, beautiful, luscious hair? As
it was just sticking.
It's uncontrollable. Isn't it wild, isn't it? Don't you find... Oh, sorry. My mistake. Probably haven't for 15 years. Hey.
I didn't.
Hey, the Crow's just become available to pre-order off Sideshow.
What did?
The 1 in 6 Crows just become available to pre-order on Sideshow.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So okay, so
you're fixing your hair, Robert,
and you're shopping. I love it. This is exactly what it's supposed to be.
For the Crow.
But no, I think that you know what I liked about this and stepping up it was already horrific watching normal people descent into barbarism to save their lives. Or I know our crew didn't kill. It was defense, but now we're watching our characters literally pulling a group of others to their deaths. You know,
but it's them or you though.
I know
it's very difficult. You can't have.
I know, but it's
have compassion in this sort of situation.
I know, but it's still, you know, it's still like killer.
Sure.
Everybody steps up, and you literally are pulling a group of sentient human beings to their deaths.
Yeah,
and it's shocking.
Good.
But it is. I mean, one of the things I like about this show is the morality of it and the dehumanization of it. They do a very good job. I mean, it's not like you're watching 20 different games. It's not like it's, you know, they do a really good job in a short period of time with these games, escalating them to the point where the horror never abates. It constantly gets higher and higher, and it by design. And I think it's pretty brilliant when you're watching, you know, these people are good guys. I know it's kill or be killed, but you're still watching them. They're watching these guys. The captains of the team are staring each other down, and we're here to kill you, or you're here to kill us. And it's brutal, dude. Brutal.
It is. But in the same breath, I think your mind would literally be consumed with survival.
No, it absolutely would. I mean, and it would, and these scenarios. I mean, how many times people have been in war, whatever. I mean, this is sort of a microcosm of every human conflict that has ever happened since the dawn of time, played out over a kid's game, over a big chasm on a concrete floor. And that's one of the things, at least I felt. I was like, you know, I know metaphorically or, you know, however you want to take it, but it's still horrifying. In a good way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
in a fun way. Murder is fun.
Tug of War, very entertaining, put it that way. I haven't seen a more entertaining Tug of War for a long time. And I don't know how deep the drop is. It looks about 50, 60 feet down. But, you know, we did see on one of the occasions that somebody was still alive.
Yes, we did.
But they just got stuck in a box.
Yeah, they got... And bye-bye. And if they're still alive, lose your organs.
You're in a box and you're going, dude. And regardless of whether or not you're alive or dead at the time, you're becoming Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah, and even though it's not subtle, you know, after it's all over, all of our characters through rope burns and whatever, literally, they've got blood on their hands. Other human. I mean, it's their blood, but it's really the blood of other human beings.
Well, that was the very clever thing, though. Instead of celebrating the victory, they're all there in the lift, just in dead silence.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, and nobody's proud or happy. You know, I mean, sure, they're going to be relieved to hell.
Yep.
You know, there's no elation. And then the religious guy is just there, sort of praying away. And then the lass who we met last week, you know, she kind of acts as an antagonist to him, and yeah, it causes 67 to snap at her, 67, to snap at her, and the snaps because, you know, nobody should be making light of this situation. What's just happened? We're alive, yes, and now the realization, I think, is dawning that we've just killed 10 people.
Yeah, and I love that the new girl on the team, number 240, 240. You know, and she says that. You know, she's like making fun of him for praying. You know, and she says, "There's no noble sacrifice here." You know, you killed those people.
Yeah. It's the Lord didn't pull them. We pulled them. We pulled them down to the death, and you know, it's a great little ride down, because even when they get out and they're walking and the other team's going past them, it's just there's no winner. You know, it doesn't feel like there's a winner there. It just feels like there's a survivor. There's
right,
a bunch of survivors.
And I really, I mean, I hate to say, do I appreciate this? I like the fact that you're watching the dehumanization of these characters. I mean, it's the idea that you're giving away your soul. You're trying to solve your problems, but in the meantime, that the old adage that you don't want to lose your soul in the process. But I think that this game is doing just that. Obviously, it's not very subtle. It's stripping your humanity away.
But that's, you know, one of the very first testicles when we go right back to the salesman. You know, obviously he's well versed in this game, so he knows he can score very highly, and he knows that he's going to win probably a big majority of the matches. And with them having no money to trade with him, and he's like, right, you know, I'm gonna smack you. In essence, there you are dehumanizing them. That's the beginning of the dehumanization process, because you are literally giving them permission to treat you like meat, not a human.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And
it's not like you got to do 10 push-ups, you got to do 10 burpees or 10 squats. No, I'm going to smack you across your face hard every time that you lose. It's just like, yes, it's compliance. It's compliance, and it's this dehumanization that you're just a thing. You become a thing to be struck. So yeah, the games. Like the first game, there's no humanity to be lost there in yourself.
Right.
Because you're up against the thing. So it is you versus the thing. You haven't been pitted against anyone. It's not a competition against anyone else. It is literally, you got to get from A to B in 5 minutes without being caught, or you're dead. And then when we get the second game, it's the same. It's you versus you. It's just you alone. You're making the choice of shape, and then you're deciding. Then you sit down and you got your 15 minutes or whatever it was, 10 minutes to get the shape out. This is the first time that we've actually not been alone and grouped up, but we've grouped up against others. It's not like grouped up to beat a thing, or grouped up to work together to complete a puzzle. They've grouped up to 10 versus 10, and 10's gonna go.
And you're face to face. You know, it's not like you're wearing a cloak, or you don't know what you're doing, or that you're absolved of your sins the way this religious man is praying the dead away or praying the sin away. You can't. You're staring other human beings down in the face, and your job is to kill them, to relieve them of their lives. And there is no escape, and there's no retribution, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, there's no retribution there's no salvation. And then what I love is as the viewers and the characters are contemplating this, we go right back to the dormitory, which it's not like the night before isn't going to happen. You know, they could go right back into Battle Royale inside this dormitory. There's no guarantee that it's not going to happen every single night.
No, I mean, it's prepared for. You know, we now have separate teams and or people who are hanging out at least together. And one of the first things they say is, we've got to build some barricades. We've got to build some barricades in preparation for
tonight's
another attack.
Game, yep.
And then we've got to have people up and awake.
And you know what I loved about this too is it turns it in. You suddenly are dealing with the tropes of a war movie. You know, like that. You know, you're settling in to do battle, whether it's trench warfare or whether it's guerrilla warfare. You know, it's here we are. Here's our team. Here's our group. We are now hunkering down to fight a battle to the death. And
it must be exhausting because they're not getting fed well.
No,
they're not getting a lot of sleep,
and they never lose the stress of that is never going away. So there is no time when you can take a breather and feel safe haven. Which very very little. Which I would never want to be in this situation, to be honest. You know what this is? I always say that the best movies always put you as the audience into the mind of a protagonist, and the great movies always always force you to ask yourself, if I was the protagonist in this, would I do that? And I think what I did. I think this is the point where I'm like, I don't want to be a protagonist in here ever. I'm happy to sit back home and watch this. I never want to be there. Whereas I watch something like Star Wars, I could be Han Solo. You know,
sure.
But I watch this and I'm like, I don't want to be any of these people. I mean,
that's
you can't,
because one's fantasy, one feels very real.
Yes, and what's interesting though is you still ask yourself, if I was that guy, if I was forced into this situation, what would I do? And I think everybody does that. You know what? And no matter what you're watching, but this is this. I'm now at the point on this show where I'm like, thank God, I'll never be in this position. I hope.
Well, if I fall asleep and I wake up on some weird island on a tracksuit with a number on it, I know I ain't winning the game. I know I'm in massive trouble. But the clever thing is, of course, our surgeon has been whisked away.
Yes, our surgeon has been whisked away.
To perform some more surgeries.
And it's interesting. There are also people on our team are beginning to come around. They're getting wise to the fact that, like, Sang-woo says that he thinks probably that the other team knew what was coming. That somehow they might have been privy to information about maybe not what the game itself was, but what it would entail, what they could do, and so they know that there's some shenanigans happening. So the characters are starting to figure that out too.
I mean, Sang-woo, though, last week he, drew on some logical conclusions.
Yes, he did.
Men and women, similar IQs. So if it comes to a battle of the brains, a man's probably just as useful as a woman is.
Yeah.
But when it comes to brawn,
and
very different.
What I really like too is our boy Ji-hun has a great, when they're in there and they're sort of facing off against each other. He tells our gangster boy, he's like, who's to say your team isn't going to turn on you, when you sleep. A little psychological warfare happening from our boy. Not knowing that was necessarily. I thought that was another cool, because again, it shows that these characters, none of them are stupid. They might have predilections, like the religious dudes, like we should kill him first. Suddenly he's gone from praying in the elevator, like, let's kill these guys.
Yeah.
Let's attack now.
It sounds legit,
But Ji-hun, I thought that was an interesting bit of shows insight, shows ingenuity. At least puts him off balance. I thought that was good.
Yeah, because it plays to hit the other person's the other person's morality, where he would be like, well, I would.
Yeah.
So, so then it's kind of the two-edged sword. What you would do, well, you kind of convince yourself, well, if I would do it, then somebody could do it to me.
Yeah. And it was,
and then
no, go ahead.
I was just saying, you put that doubt into your own mind as well.
Yeah, but it was great, but it worked. You know, it's like it was a good tactic. So the battle, the battle for
that, and it was the mix of the it was the mix of the fact that the doctor wasn't there, and so when with the doctor not being there and without him knowing what the next game's going to be, yeah, maybe it's time for me to just keep an eye open this night.
No, it was good. I mean, again, this show, I think the reason it caught on and we talk about it a lot, but why people watch it is because it is so smart. You know, it really is. It's the kind of thing where it's constantly, for you as a viewer, it's constantly asking questions that you're asking yourself the same questions. When he does that, you go, yeah, you know what? That's right. They might turn on you, you know, and it's all... It feels so correct, and it's nice when entertainment doesn't pander and doesn't treat the audience like they're idiots, like some shows with spaceships in them. Oh, wait. What did I say?
Which has idiots in them as well. Written by idiots, treating you like idiots, starring idiots.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have the detective works out the Morse code. And this time he comes out of the room and goes down to the organ harvesting place. It's like, oh, so you've come tonight, have you?
Yeah, I mean,
I had to make sure they didn't kill you. They were wanting to kill you because you didn't turn up. And
I mean, this is pretty interesting. We find out more about this black market. They've got a waiting Chinese ship, and there's brokers, and there's a. But the one thing, like, you know, this side hustle's happening, but it seems the one thing I'm like, how are they getting away with this? I mean, they're getting away with something here, and it does seem like it's a lot. It's a big risk for all these people.
Yeah, but they've got the infrastructure from the island.
I know.
So the infrastructure of the island can cover the transportation of the organs.
Yeah.
And then they just got to make sure, you know, they're literally just doing a drop off to somebody.
Yep.
So it's not as technically complex as you think it is.
But no, it's true. And another thing I do like about this too is our cop. I mean, our cop, who's presumably, I know he's looking for his brother, but presumably he's still a cop, watching all of these atrocities. He can't do anything because he can't blow his cover.
But no, I don't know, because he watches them to a degree. He's sifting information out of this.
Sure, but still, I mean, so he's watching crime after crime committed.
And yeah, but he knows when to be quiet. And he knows when to start like when they start talking about when we put the freak on the table or whatever, and we didn't realize they were still alive and we were operating on them and whatnot, and then he perks up because he kind of thinks that could be his brother.
Yep.
And so we start to get some questions, and then he has to like lower it back down again because he's not trying to cause. Oh, I must have been a little bit, out of it that day or whatever. So yeah, he's just probing away to get bits of information, and so and it's the doctor who technically saves him because the doctor starts screaming because he's sleep deprived, food deprived, and he's because he's coming down here cutting all these organs, and they already stressed that he made a couple of mistakes.
Yeah, and you find out that's why he was in the game too, because he screwed up as a doctor.
Yeah, he screwed up an operation as a doctor. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's here they're expecting you to do precision work while you're playing the game. So it's like, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. And then also, and then we find out that Jihan we see a bit of his past, the flashback to the, I didn't quite understand. There was some kind of a factory there was
he
an
worked
uprising.
In a factory. It was a strike.
Yeah, and the cop. Yeah, there's a cop. The cops came in, and the workers were the ones that were just, look, man, we didn't screw the company up. The management did. You know, the people who own the place. So shit rolls downhill.
Yeah, and then a riot broke out, and one of his friends, maybe his best friend, not sure, but one of his friends or maybe his best friend got killed right in front of him.
Right
the only
in front
person
of him.
to be killed in the riots got smashed on the head by a truncheon and probably caved his skull in.
And maybe that's what turned him into a degenerate gambler, or maybe that was the pivotal point in his life where something, you know, it sent him down a bad path.
I mean, he could be a PTSD sufferer,
yeah.
you know, and clearly when he got sleep deprived and whatnot and started to hallucinate the riots happening inside of the room, yeah, there was sort of a mixture of hallucination, maybe drifted off.
Yeah.
But it was a flashback, you know, the night before with all the fights kind of drew this memory back out of him.
Yes.
And so, yeah, you kind of begin to start thinking, oh, maybe this guy actually had trauma, which he didn't know how to deal with. And he didn't know how to cope with it for whatever reason that may be that we don't know. Maybe he didn't identify it. Maybe he wasn't aware of it. Maybe there wasn't access to it, whatever it may be. And only now are we starting to see that trauma come back out.
Yeah.
Because of the situation that he's been put in. And this might have caused him, very much so, to start becoming, you know, more of a degenerate gambler, because he's trying to almost maybe fracture himself away from reality in a way. And
no,
reality that he's left with is his family and whatnot.
Yeah, I absolutely think that was very, you know, that's very intentional on the part of the show. And yeah, I think that's I mean, I did like that. I like that. I thought the show does a really good job of that, giving us those insights through quick flashbacks. Or I really like that. I thought it was well done. But
yes. So you didn't need much.
Nope. And then we've got our favorite old man. You know, before he is he sick? What's going on? They've got to help him. They don't know what's, you know, if he's going to survive. You know, if looking back, what I love going back and watching this show like a second time, because you really have I never suspected our old man of being in on anything. You know, you really feel like the characters, oh, we got to take care of you, dude. It isn't until next week where I went, wait, what? When he said something where I'm like, wait, what? And then you're like, oh man. But up to this point, everyone, what I really do like about the where we're at now is everything. There's a moral ambiguity with all of our characters, all of our protagonists. They're not all, it's not like they're a bunch of great people that found themselves in this hell. They all are not. I mean, they're all deeply flawed people that are there by their own design. I mean, they're the ones, and I think that the lesson there is, especially nowadays, that people are like, well, it wasn't my fault. And I love the fact that this show's like, no, it's your fault.
Yeah,
it's your. I mean, sure, you can.
Why you're here, it's your fault. Yeah.
The overarching. I think people are always saying, no, you know, it's our capitalist system. It's the brutality of the world we live in. When really, it's a combination of the two. You know, no one. I mean, sure, there are people like Job, good people that get crushed. You know, but their faith takes them through, and God rewards them in the end. But, I just like the idea that this show does not say, yeah, just because life is hard, you're not absolved of your own responsibilities. Your lot in life is your lot in life. And you can choose to make lemons or lemonade out of lemons, or you can succumb to it and become a degenerate gambler and be a bad father and all those things. Those are choices you made. It doesn't matter if life is tough. You still are not absolved of the responsibility of your own life. And I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, because we only know the the stories of the characters we are presented with.
Mm-hmm.
There are 450 odd other people there who, we don't know what their backstories are.
But I think we're left to assume that they've all compromised themselves in some way.
Oh, absolutely. But, we don't know whether or not these are horrible people, whether or not these right. are good people that have fallen on hard times. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know what proportion is what. We're just there seeing people getting massacred in the name of trying to make this 43 whatever it is, $45 million, which is a heck of an amount to take, but peanuts to the other people.
But yeah, so then we're deep. Obviously, we're deep inside with the doctor and our undercover cop's plight. And I thought it was really interesting because all of this is really, we're getting all this backstory conveyed to us about this organ trafficking operation and then what happens. I mean, it's pretty interesting what happens next. What does happen next, Az?
Well, I mean, we if we follow the detective, him and number 28 take the organs down to this small area where they're going to put on some breathing equipment, swim out, probably drop it off to a courier. The courier's going to go, and then the number 28 decides to confront 29, our detective, because he's just like, you're acting different, you sound different. Who are you? Take your mask off. So he takes his mask off and reveals that he's the detective, and he's got is it a knife he's got at him? Yeah,
something like that.
And then the detective, of course, has got just slides his gun out of his pocket and sticks his gun there, and it's just like, why don't you take your mask off? And then he starts to so the other guy takes his off, and it's just like a regular dude, and he questions about the person on the operating table, and it was like, what's his name? It's like, no, it wasn't a guy. It wasn't a guy. It was a woman, and we thought she was dead because we'd all taken turns to grape her. Before the organ harvesting. How nice is that, folks?
Dude, so horrible. So horrible.
I know. And then the guy's like begging, saying, but if we can work together and, you and me and we can split the money. And the detective's just like, fucking blows a hole in his head.
Yeah.
Lets him fall into the water. But he points the way to the front man's layer, the emergency route out of the VIP emergency route, so to speak. And we do see that the whole place is actually rigged to blow.
Yep.
Should things get hairy as well. Now, I thought that would come back at some point. It never came back.
No, it never came back.
But I thought that would come back at some point. So the detective goes and creeps up to the front man's. But while that's going on, back in the old organ donating room, the doctor's just like, okay, he's flustered, he's tired, he's hungry, and they've made him do like extra bodies to cut out, and then he's like, what's the game? And they're just like, don't know. We don't know yet. It's like, what? It's like, we don't know yet. Just go upstairs, go to bed. We'll tell you in the morning when we find out. And he's like, fuck off. You go upstairs now and you find out exactly what the game is. And then if a fight breaks out, and he's kind of got one of the triangles prisoner, so he's just like, yeah, go to the and that guy's just like, yeah, go to the control room, nudge nudge, wink wink, sort of thing. And he breaks away from the doctor, tries to get to the gun, but the doctor jumps on him and murders him with a scalpel. And so the other guy, the other triangle who's there, hits him with something quite hard, like a crowbar or something. And the doctor runs out the room. and up the stairs, and he's going through the maze. You know, the maze that they go through to go to different games. And so that other triangle's got to go after him, and he's following the blood trails because the doctor's been, you know, hurt. So he's following the blood trail of the doctor, so he knows which ways to go. And he ends up, the doctor bursts through a door, and he ends up back in the honeycomb room at nighttime. You want to pick up from there?
Well, he ends up in the honeycomb room at nighttime.
Yeah, the little playground.
And
playground.
Let's see if I remember correctly. The front man, our boy, shows up, and isn't that right? Isn't that what happens?
Well, first of all, the triangle comes up first.
Right, that's true.
And he's like, dude, look, calm down. If you calm down, we can all survive this.
We're all gonna work it out.
We can all survive this. Look, I'll take off my shit. You can see I'm just human like you.
I'm a normal dude.
We're not aliens or
it's all
anything.
good. Yeah.
So all we got to do now is if a contestant goes missing, that's a huge thing.
Yeah. And
if one of us goes missing, not so much.
Right.
So I can cover the body of the other guy. You just need to get back into your room, go to sleep, and I will find out what the game is for you tomorrow, and we'll just get all this back. And so the doctor's sort of like coming round to that, and he drops his weapon, and the other guard like walks around him, and he gets a flick knife out, and he's gonna kill the doctor, but then he gets it shot out of his hand,
and that's when frontman, our boy, arrives. The mom and daddy have shown up to put things right, and suddenly the powers that be and the guys, the frontman, have shown up, realizing, oh, this little side scheme that has been going on has now been completely uncovered, and the frontman and his boys, they kill them both. They kill our doctor, and they kill.
Yeah, but they do it really clever. When I say cleverly, it's interesting the way that they do it.
Yeah,
because the frontman addresses the soldier,
yes,
not the doctor. He addresses the soldier first, and he's like, I don't care about your
side hustle,
you know. But you have broken the sanctity rules of this game, you know?
And that was, I mean, what I loved about that was, you know, the idea that we again, as the viewers, think that, okay, all of this, that there isn't such a thing as a sanctity. How could this game have any kind of sanctity to it at all? What are you talking about? and the idea that it does, that the rules, and suddenly our mysterious frontman that we don't know anything about, you know, we see that whenever he shows up, we know it's like, I don't know if he's Darth Vader or Clytus from Flash Gordon. You don't know, but the fact that there is an integrity to these games is something that had never been considered before until he flat out just says it. And I thought that was
you took away from this contestant the one thing that he had, which was fairness.
Yes,
you took that away, and then the guy begs for his life, and he shoots him in his head. And then what the interesting thing then is that the frontman never addresses the doctor.
No.
He just turns around, walks off. The doctor's just like stood there. And then just one of the triangles steps up, just mows him down with the M5.
Well, it's
MP5.
It's funny because the frontman, it's like, in a way, I kind of got that as the if he were to order. Like that, the sanctity of the games means the front man can't necessarily order a contestant's death. That wouldn't be fair. Maybe that would be, or something. You know, I got the he's still playing out.
Oh no, the contestant's been compromised now.
Yeah, that's the thing. But the soldiers know that. You know, they've seen that, and that's why the front man can't. The front man doesn't do those things. You know,
it doesn't matter. I think the front man, it's already been determined that the death because.
Oh no, no, absolutely.
They clearly know that this person has been receiving has been receiving help above and beyond. But the thing is, the frontman just doesn't. He doesn't have to address him.
Right. I mean, the soldiers know what's up. The soldiers know what's up.
And the way he's so passionate about the fairness and the sanctity of the games is he won it.
Do we know? Well, yeah, but I guess we don't know that yet.
No, we don't know that till yet. But looking back, these are things which make sense when you. Like the old man, every game. This is what I used to play as a kid. This is what I used to play as a kid. I used to love playing this as a kid. Just your fucking games, that's why. And this one, he was so kind of charged about it because he's a winner. He's a winner of Squid Game. And so yeah, he understands that his position was as fair as the next person's within that game, and obviously all the games that he had to compete in. But it's just so kind of cold the way he doesn't even need to address the doctor.
Well, I think
because I think to him the doctor's already dead in his eyes. He's dead. This is a dead man. This isn't a live man.
And also, I mean, I think one of the things about the game too is the front man. We don't know this quite yet, but his soul. He's the ultimate example of how this game dehumanizes and destroys your soul, because he ultimately ends up committing the ultimate sin, the same sin that Michael Corleone committed in Godfather 2, which is you kill your own brother. And you don't. Once you've done that, you're irredeemable. You're an irredeemable character, and no matter how much power you have, ultimately the chickens will come home to roost. And that's what this game did to him, to win the game. And that's why, jumping ahead of ourselves, I like what happens at the end, where we find out our main character, unlike what happened to the front man, is not dehumanized. He has not. There is a shred of humanity left in him, no matter what. And I think that's an interesting thing. But this is the first indication that the front man, like you said, I think you're absolutely right. He doesn't have to talk to the man because he's a dead man walking. There's no reason the doctor needs to be. It's already been done.
Why would you talk to somebody who's already dead?
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right.
So that. I think that's his attitude, and I think that's what makes the front man. I mean, I'd like to know more about the front man, but I think that's what makes the front man so interesting as a character through to the sixth, to this ninth episode.
Yep.
When we get all that, and then our intrepid crew wake up, and they're getting ready for the next game, and poor old guy won't get out of bed, and then the guard rips back his covers, and he's wet himself.
He's wet himself.
He's wet himself. He's old, he's infirm. And he's wet himself. And then we have our detective, who's now been rooting around in the front man's offices, and he comes across the winners.
And we also
winners of Squid Game.
And we learn that the Squid Game's has been played for a while. A long time.
There are books and books and books of contestants year on year on year, and his brother won like 3 years ago. He sees his brother as the winner of like 2017 or something winner, and it's his brother, and he's just like, it says his name, and then it's.
And what's amazing is it doesn't even have to happen once a year. Maybe it happens every couple of months. They have the facility.
Well, it says like 2019 winner, 2020, 2020. So it does seem to be an annual.
I mean, I guess it'd be hard.
It could be for that, it could be an annual event for Soho, for Seoul, and then it could be an annual event for the next one is in Tokyo in a month's time, and the next one's in New York in January, and so yes, it was another great episode, man.
No, it was great, and what I love, you again learn about they're doling out information not It's dripping out, but they keep expanding the world. Like the more that you learn about like the front man and the world of the games, and I can't stress enough, it just keeps you coming back for more. It's so fascinating. It's so interesting that you can't stop watching it. Because the plotting, because they keep adding different layers that you don't expect. Like all the guards and the doctor, and then the way the front man, like you just pointed out, the sanctity of the games. That's something. Where did that come from? Suddenly, wow, the people that run these games feel very strongly about the fairness involved in the games. And no, it's really well done. Although it gets really.
I mean, sorry, but we saw a little snippet of that a couple of an episode or so ago when they were voting to leave in episode 2, and somebody is just like, how the fuck can you vote to stay when we just killed 250 odd people? And he grabs that person and he's like, da-da-da-da, and then he shoots in the air. The supervisor shoots in the air and he's like, I will not tolerate any further abuse which could lead to the compromise of this democratic process. So it's like, there is a rule system in place, at least that the hierarchy believe in. Now, obviously, you got your minnows doing minnow shit, but your hierarchies, like, they believe in. Because I guess, well, I mean, they do interject. I mean, they didn't mention anything about special game. They didn't mention anything about if you kill somebody, that's fine. Right.
But that's, again, that's a democratic, that's something that they didn't impose that. That's something that the players brought into the game themselves. So it's not something that was manipulated. I mean, the situation's obviously manipulating, but if those guys come up and they've seen it happen before, so they know how it's going to play out, but it's something that that's up to the individual players. If you want to do that, that's what you get to do.
Oh yeah. It's like, just because we don't say certain rules doesn't mean that they don't exist.
That is correct.
And this is all set up for because it's all been kind of mild, apart from the tug of war, but it's all been kind of mild, which is leading into episode 6, which is
which we're going to deal with next week, and we've got guests on your channel. That's going to be that's
got at least Mauler.
Yeah.
Maybe Drinker. We'll see if Drinker wants on as well. But it's all kind of another massive curveball is going to be thrown their way.
It's great.
Next week, which is going to be great. But yeah, it's just such a fascinating show, dude.
And a lot of people have commented today. So
nice.
Anomalous 101 says maybe it's fitting that we're discussing Squid Game on the same day Germany has returned to fascism, about vaccine mandates and all that.
France, it feels starting to feel a lot like World War II.
Well, let's hope the Rhine lands safe.
Papers, please.
Sends in a diamond super chat. Thank you. Ubu Roy sends in a 4-part comment.
Oh, wow.
It is always difficult to imagine what a TV show would have been like if one of the storylines had been left out. Mm-hmm. Without the storyline of the undercover cop, the pacing of this show would probably have been too fast. The show would have gone from one game to the next too fast, and the storyline would be lacking in depth. But it's also the only storyline in a superb show where the writing irritated me sometimes. Just a bit too many lucky escapes for the undercover cop. For example, the shit should have hit the fan with the guards when number 29 did not know about the zombie during the organ theft.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that, but I mean, you could look at that as a misstep, but also if you have a cop, an undercover cop, I mean, there are conventions to the fact that I do agree with Uberoy in that having this undercover cop is kind of standard fare in something like this. Like, you've got to have and the way they did it, yeah, he sneaks in, but I do love the fact that the undercover cop himself, the way he worked himself up the hierarchy of the guards, I thought was fascinating too, and it gave us a lot of backstory into the organization that was putting on the Squid Game, and there was really no other way. It took us behind the curtain in a way that I don't know if we could have been able to get that perspective any other way.
But he was compromised in that room anyway. He was compromised, but then remember the doctor started screaming and shouting, "Just shut up!" So that, in a way, sort of just reset people. So they just, then they gave them the organs and they went on their way, because that sort of conversation was gone. They're more concerned about the ranting doctor and him not mucking up getting these organs out, which had been mentioned that he fucked up. He fucked up the eyeball the other day that we saw him taken out. Apparently he fucked that up. So yeah, he could have easily, if the doctor didn't say anything, he probably would have been called out. But yeah, there are definite coincidences, a lot of conveniences with the undercover detective. But I think it adds. I just think it adds an interesting little layer to the game. I think it adds a little interesting element to the proceedings, that having him sort of this wild card going around the place.
No,
I think you're right. If you take his story away, then you would have pacing issues with the actual game when they're in the game.
And I think it would have been more repetitive, because these characters play the game, and it would have seemed, I think going back and forth. I thought it was. I liked the structure of it. I really did, because the storyline of the cop is just that it's playing out at a different pace than the rest of the game. But I was still very interested in it. Sometimes you watch these shows and there's one storyline that I don't care about the storyline. But I was interested in the cop storyline, because it was all about uncovering the organization, which is totally opposed to watching. It's a different story than watching the characters move through the game, because I love that world building aspect of it. So that was the only way into that world building, is seeing it through the eyes of that character. Otherwise, they would have had to do something dumb, like bring one of the players behind the curtain, and that would have seemed not. It wouldn't have worked.
No, we needed somebody. Yeah, we needed the wizard behind the curtain for this element. I think, but I understand what you're saying. I fully understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I do too, and I don't disagree. Now, this is really interesting. Longtime viewer of this channel, Alexander Wilson, has some interesting backstory that I didn't know. Multiple part question. The auto strike in the show is based on a 2009 Ssangyong Motors strike in Korea, in which the police came and brutally beat and killed the strikers. After the strike was violently suppressed, the strikers were blackballed from employment by other large Korean companies. Also, the auto organization and police sued the workers for damages, and the workers were ordered to pay $9 million, which they couldn't pay, and it put them in huge debt. A lot of this is a whole this is a whole new thing. A lot of the strikers lost everything in that ordeal, and from that came the idea of this show, Squid Game. I was watching a Korean YouTube channel, and they guessed correctly the old man's role in the first episode, because it is a traditional Korean trope. Interesting. That's fascinating. But that puts a new wrinkle into the character, like in the sense that, so it was this.
Maybe he's blacklisted from getting work.
Yeah, that could be it. And if this, but what's interesting is that the strikers chose to go on strike, and then they were brutally suppressed by both owners and cops. So the establishment, both the government and private industry, put these guys in the poorhouse. Now that's That's an interesting wrinkle because that puts more onus on the government and and capitalism than on, you know, the workers. Like our boy Jihan. I look at them now thinking, well, if he was in that strike, I feel kind of worse for him now because he's not so much of a schleprock. If he was blackballed from getting another job because of the government, because of the owners, maybe they're absolved of a little of that responsibility. Now I can see why he's where he was. I mean, I don't know that. I didn't know that backstory at all, but knowing that backstory does change my viewpoint a little bit, especially this episode.
Yeah, if that's what they were going for with this, for sure.
Yeah. That's interesting. By the way, Josh Levesque, one of my moderators, sends a bunch of hot dogs. It looks like 20 or 30, and says "glorious hot dog." There's a lot. Is that a thing when people send lots of hot dogs?
As long as I can eat them, they'll be fine.
Says hi, Az and Rob, and she also sends in a hot dog and a diamond. She says, I had to watch this show more than once to figure out everything. I love the layers in this story. Even my mom noticed things that I didn't.
Wow. Yeah, I've seen it 5 times now.
Yeah, I was going to say, but there's something new every time.
Yeah, you find something. Yeah, there's always something that you didn't pick up on the. But yeah, 5 times. That's a couple of views.
Yeah. So, well, that's the end of those, which is good. Those are some good observations. I love it when I learn something from the viewers because that Alexander, thanks for that backstory. That's fascinating.
Well, that's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but it does change my perspective. You know, knowing that because we were talking about how Jihan was such kind of a schleprock, a dude that had done it to himself.
Well, he still is. I mean, don't take that away. He still is. But,
well, yeah, but I mean, knowing though that
there may be more reason.
Yeah, and the fact, the idea that he couldn't get work. I mean, it's one thing to maybe suffer from PTSD, but to know that he was literally blackballed and that's why he was a chauffeur because that was the only work.
Yeah, but when he won that money in the first episode, he wasn't rushing to pay anyone off.
No, he wasn't.
No, he was not. He was looking to ingratiate himself and oh yeah, my daughter, by the way, and look at the way he speaks to his mum and gets money from his mum and stuff like that. So yeah, let's not.
No, I'm not absolving him. I'm not absolving him, but at least his desperation. Now I understand it a bit more.
Yeah.
A bit more.
Okay, well, I mean, we said an hour or so. Perfect.
That's it. We did it.
Perfect.
We did it. So that's.
Can't say that it might be the case for next week, but
no, next week's going to be longer. Alexander Wilson goes on to say, "It's all fair in Squid Game until some people don't have fun and they switch it up."
Yeah.
That could very well be. Well, yes, we did an hour today. Next week is episode 6, a pivotal episode. We are back on your channel next week at 8 p.m. Your time, noon my time, and fantastic.
I'm just seeing what. I'll bring up the calendar. 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, technically we might be able to do the season before the end of the year.
Yeah, I think maybe so. Could be
30th of this New Year's Eve, but hello. There's people are gonna have time off for Christmas. Might slide something in hither or thither.
Yeah, could be
to double up on something or whatnot. But I can't wait. Looking forward to next week.
Next week's gonna be a good one. All right, sir. Thanks for the show. I'm gonna go do a Robservations in 2 hours at 3:00, and I guess I will see you next week on your channel for Hot Toys on Wednesday.
Hot Toys, and then SQUID GAME episode 6.
All right, sir. Well, I will bid you a fond farewell. And thanks, everybody. I want to thank my moderating staff. Thanks for Joshua Levesque being here. Let's see. I don't know if anyone else was here, but thanks, Josh. I also want to thank everybody for supporting the channel via Super Chats and tips. Thank you so very much. And people who are members of the channel, we do have a members call this weekend, another one of our Zoom calls, which are always fun. So thank you very much. And on that note, I would say to everyone, Everyone you meet has a story to tell, just like the characters in Squid Game that you haven't heard. And all you have to do is listen.
You
all
might
right,
regret
sir.
it, though. There you go.
You might regret it. And on that
See
note, be single.